Hi Leo, here is a general look at your solar chart for November 2015. But before I get to what's happening with your sign for this month, I just want to mention these two long-running transits, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, Pluto. Now, Uranus, Pluto, if you've been following the astrology, you'll know is very much in the background towards, kind of economic global meltdown, and basically it's very the challenging the social structures, the status quo, the establishment, and shifting things which have been taken for granted socially, economically, culturally for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this is still going on, even though technically they've moved further apart. They're still pretty close. And as I've said more than once previously, it's not over till it's over. And we shouldn't be looking to think, okay, we can rest on our laurels now until we get into 2020s. Now for Saturn, Neptune. Well, Saturn, Neptune was hanging in the air a lot earlier this year, around about the time, and of course Neptune rules the seas, and it rules mysterious illnesses, things that can't be pinned down, So of the Ebola outbreak, also refugees traveling with children across very, very treacherous terrain to get to the safety, as they thought, of Western Europe, and being, a lot died on the way, plucked out of the seas, mostly the Mediterranean, and being tricked and cheated by those sharks, basically, who wanted their money and then just left them to die on boats and so on in the Mediterranean. Also had their way barred at Calais, trying to get through the tunnel to the UK, which they see as sort of the promised land in a way, which, everything's relative. So it probably is, it really, really is. We all have to have our promised land. We all have to have it, even if it's just our favorite sort of celebs on the TV. I mean, it's kind of just our promised land. It's the potential of what can be. So it's called hope. It's called that star of hope. And now Saturn is the planet of physical boundaries, material structures. It's also about the status quo, the establishment, and Neptune is very, very ethereal. It's kind of without boundaries, and it's ideological, but it's also about victimization. It's about escape, among other things, and trying to do basically the highest manifestation maybe is compassionate, trying to do the best for the common good, for the whole of all, with all sort of personal desires and ego put on one side. So it's definitely the planet of higher service. Now, these sort of notions are far too sort of ambiguous and airy-fairy and head in the clouds for Saturn, who wants to apply a system to a situation. And it's sort of like top-down, it's kind of the government. So Saturn asks, okay, the how, and wants to deal with the nuts and bolts of the situation. And of course, here we are in this dimension of nuts and bolts, of dualism. So the Neptunian vibration of wholeness and union needs to be, we need to find practical ways to apply things so that it relieves suffering, and it makes sense out of the randomness and the chaos of things, which is more up Neptune Street. So and Neptune's about a heck of a lot else than that as well. But just for this example, Saturn rules authority figures, and also cares about appearances, cares about traditions and historical standards. But also on the flip side, Saturn is this very, very caring, responsible mother energy, which wants to protect and guard and guide and provide for others, okay, for those in her care. Now, these two planets are a very sort of an angle which makes a lot of friction. And so therefore it's kind of a pressure cooker energy, the same as Uranus, Pluto, in fact. And that particular angle seems to be quite adept at manifesting, events in the world, situations in the world, which we in the world have to, on the one hand, take the lesson from as we're grappling with it and struggling with it and trying to figure it out, but also and then get the resolution to it. But also we have to maybe not just bemoan the fact that the thing is happening or the things are happening, whether it's in your private life, which you can probably find in your natal chart, how that might be triggering off each other, and then figure out how best to deal with it, so that you keep it harnessed, and then you can really get things more how you want them to be, or in the wider world. Okay, so we need to it's not about what happens, it's about how we respond to what happens. It's always about how we respond to what happens. So at the moment, Saturn is in Sagittarius, which is about long journeys, foreign cultures, different ideologies, different belief systems. Religion, of course, is a big one with Sagittarius, and the higher law. And Neptune is very much about higher laws as well, but even beyond the human realms. It's about total integration and wholeness and individuation and union. So we need to do the best we can with Saturn coming out of Sagittarius. There will be issues around other people's ideologies and belief systems, religions. There will be issues around maybe integration as well of those whose cultural background is very different to another cultural background, and this is all in the mix. It's all to do with coming into the age of Aquarius as our consciousness raises and we actually become aware of these things, whereas 100 years ago we wouldn't have been. We'd have just kind of, oh well, our consciousness wouldn't have let us, just sweep it under the carpet. We don't go there. We don't do that. Saturn is also about the shadow side of us, our psyches as well. So maybe a little bit more of the shadow side coming out here too. Things again which have been maybe taboo or kept from us, because of course now we have the internet, and the whole world is becoming a village. We're in a global village. So anyway, it seems to me that Saturn in Sagittarius and Neptune at home, very strongly coming out of its own sign, Pisces, brings in a new kind of confusion and uncertainty about how we help the needy without having the greedy pulling the wool over our eyes. And we could apply this thinking to different situations, like perhaps gun laws in certain parts of the world, and keeping tabs on, who's selling weapons to who, etc., behind the scenes. And I know that's only just the real tip of the iceberg, because it's grassroots stuff is about actually the changing of the hearts of many here. And really, I think, in fact, there is kind of coming in this split, as many saw in the run-up to 2012. There was this two-world split. And those of you who were aware of that, can you see how that's happening now? It's very interesting, isn't it? So how to execute the compassionate service required in an orderly, practical, structured fashion. It's quite a dilemma. So our task is to try and balance a higher vision and empathy and emotional intelligence. There's a lot of clever guys out there and gals. But let's have some emotional intelligence. Let's have some emotional common sense. And I don't mean emotional reactiveness. I mean a feeling common sense. And marry that up with realistic possibilities. Anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. So these two, Saturn, Neptune, have a look and see where they're transiting in your chart. I'll mention that to do with the sun sign charts. And you can even look at the house position, so see which house position they're in, and also maybe even the signs they ruled, which is Capricorn and Pisces. And it might be quite enlightening. And now for you, other news for you Leos. The sun comes right to the very root of your chart every year at this time, and this year we have the sun and Mercury there. And that means that very much your attention could center around a base of operations. It could be your home, it could be the neighborhood, it could be geographical points on the map that have more of your attention. It could be about where you dwell, where you reside, or where you'd like to reside, or indeed it could be about property matters. It could be also about where you reside and dwell within yourself as well, because it's quite a sensitive area. Feelings are likely to be near the surface, and you could be pondering things a little bit more deeply. Mercury there as well, and maybe discussions, making connections with people in a community or a neighborhood, or it could be discussions about what's going on inside, outside the property, or it could be about, as I say, property matters themselves, and buying, selling, renting, leasing, and perhaps mulling things over, perhaps harking back to the past, perhaps feeling a little bit nostalgic every now and again. But looks pretty busy, on the home patch there. And then from the 21st, Mercury moves into a very different area. It's far less introspective, it's more outgoing, it's upbeat. The Sun moves into there as well on the 23rd. And now you're enjoying playing with ideas, feeling, maybe speculating, and wondering, what if this, what if that, what if the other. Your creative juices are likely to be flowing at this time. And also you could be more romantically expressive, or have more connection with children, or indeed, be on the receiving end of that romantic expression. The Sun, as I say, is also lighting up these areas, sort of really empowering Mercury, and then you are more involved with things that give you the sense of your strength, of your power, maybe trying out different things, leisure pursuits, leisure activities, hobbies, pastimes. This is a very artistic area. This is the area where you should be in getting more chance to enjoy things that you feel empowering to you, and or people. And it's quite a spontaneous or sort of childlike area. And anything to do with performance activities, especially given the positions of Venus and Mars as well. So performance in whatever way, through promotional activity, through theatre, through media, whatever it is, or, you're just trying to convince somebody of something. The positions of Venus and Mars together, Venus and Mars are all right tonight. And both of them are in the same area. First of all, up until the 9th, they're in a quite materialistic area, but then from the 9th, they go into this area of communications and bringing flow and ease to the way you express yourself, and also you hearing nice things, you hearing things that you enjoy, maybe more access to entertainments. Previous to that, up until the 9th, it could be about stuff, moving it, ditching it, maintaining it, getting more, buying, selling, renting, leasing. It could be about big stuff like property, or little stuff like niggly possessions, or getting organized in that sort of way. Or it might not be that, it might be about the other sort of stuff that the whole world runs on, and that's called money. So it might be about funding, investments, that kind of thing, in you or from you. And it could be beneficial, actually, because Venus in this area here, fleeting as it is, only 3 weeks, but does mean that you tend to do better with Venus here materially, okay? Tends to oil the wheels and opens up the path between you and goodies. Also, Mars is there, and Mars likes to make decisions, and initiate stuff. Mars likes to take action. Mars is action man. So this position of Mars up until the 13th means that you might have to make decisions and take action, teaming up with someone. Maybe you and someone else are involved in this, about financial matters. But also about stuff, about space, where you are. Maybe it's like that. Also, there could be a number of different ways we could apply this transit, but it's basically related to basic material security, money, property, possessions. And Mars can be demanding and impulsive, but I think with Venus there, everything will tend to get ironed out in the way that you'd like, but you are going to feel that the urge to be more actively involved here. And it's also an area to do with diet and maybe health matters, remedies, practices, therapies, that kind of thing as well. And then from the 13th, Mars moves into the communication sector. So this is accelerating things around you, on the move more maybe, mental processes speeding up, firing up the way that you express yourself, you come across, and also you having to be more on the ball there as well. And there could be more hustle and bustle, comings and goings, and you very much in the stream of information exchange. But Venus is there as well. Again, this feeling of support at the side of you, or teaming up with someone, or working with an opposite number there in both those sectors. Venus up until the 9th and Mars up until the 13th, and then they both move into the communication sector, the 9th and the 13th. So they're in there together. And you are more just clear now in what you're thinking. Okay, this is sorted now. I can figure it out. I can get the clarity. And again, there is this two heads are better than one idea going on here. You can't, you do better with some other in the mix somehow or other. You can feel more confident about where you're going and be proactive. And this is an area which is very creatively self-expressive as well for those of you who are doing that, especially given the position of the Sun and Mercury of the 21st. And then Saturn returned to Sagittarius in September and will stay there until late 2017. This actually puts Saturn, sometimes a hard task mistress, I would say, in a very good angle to your sun sign, Leo, or to you, Leo rising, depending on the degree. And at the moment, Saturn is influencing those with 3 to 8 degrees rising, or born the 26th to the 31st of July. And this good angle means that slowly, gradually, over these 2 and a bit years, you should be paying more focused attention to and taking more seriously your ability to be creative, your ability to enjoy life through work, through activities, pursuits, through your lifestyle. Just have that playfulness come back into your life, or just play up that playfulness more, and that inner child coming out, and that spontaneity there, and that more access to entertainment, but also admiring glances coming your way altogether possible. But this is, underlying this is steady work, gradually building upon something. Maybe you'll have more responsibility regarding children or youngsters of some kind, or animals. Maybe because of a relationship, a friendship, or a romantic relationship, you have more responsibility on your shoulders. Maybe because of any of those, you feel held back or limited. And then, you don't have the freedom to frolic as you would love to. So you just got to be more patient, more sometimes plodding, more organized, more managed, in order to get your sort of little hit of fun and being creative. And this is also an area to do with performance. So maybe you're working quite hard on something which you hope will be well received when you actually put it out there, it can be something like that. And then Jupiter is in your area of the piggy bank, not a bad place for Jupiter, not in any stunningly strong angle, but still it's not a bad place, and that's there until September 2016. So remain open to those resources or knowledge or assets or talents of yours that can help you to expand mentally and physically into fresh territories, but also can help expand your piggy bank as well. And Jupiter here will help you decide what is of the highest priority, will help you decide what really is the thing that is most worthwhile to you to be doing now. And you Leos born the 7th to the 14th of August, or with 15 to 21 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most this forecast period. And that's it for November. If you like to check anything, this is all written up on my website, DianaGarland.com. And also it's advisable to listen to your rising sign or your moon sign if you know them. That can give you some more information. And I'll see you the next time.